What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Movies That Make You podcast. Season 2 is in full gear, and so we are super excited for what we've got going on this season. Just to let you know what that means, we still have our weekly Prepisodes where we discuss movies to watch in preparation for a new release hitting theaters. I got my buddy POPpaGoss on those each and every week. Those drop on Mondays at 6 a.m. Also, we have our Creators Conversations. This is where we're interviewing people from the business and beyond to discuss what they do to create and how they create their art. So be on the lookout for that. We're also doing our monthly watch-alongs where we pick a movie to watch. We live stream our conversation on YouTube. This week, we're going to be talking about all the Insidious films in preparation for Insidious Out of the Further with a brand new guest, Keith Cantrell. We met him at OKC HorrorCon. He had some incredible insights in our Q&A sessions. So we're excited to have him on the podcast for the first time. And he also did the music that we used for our promo for Evil Dead Burn. We hope you also check out our website at moviesthatmakeyoupodcast.com. There you can see all of our social links. You can listen to the podcast. You can watch the podcast. We also have our merch store. You can find tons of merch for Movies That Make You and our friends. We also have a link to our letterbox where you can see all the movies that we watch in preparation for the new releases, but also the movies that make you laugh, the movies that make you cry, the movies that make you scream, and everything in between. So before we get to this week's episode, let's check out what we got coming up on the Movies That Make You podcast. Next week, we've got Animation Invasion. We're going to be prepping for Coyote vs. Acme. And we're going to be joined by our special guest, Jason Vines of ATXFX, visual effects lead for Iron Lung. We're going to be talking about a host of films that have live action plus cartoon animation ingrained together. So we're excited to have those conversations. The week after that, we've got Corey from Wilkie's Music and Movies channel over on YouTube and Instagram. And we're going to be discussing a ton of bank heist films in preparation for the new film that's dropping that Friday, How to Rob a Bank. We hope you'll join us. The week after that, we are discussing a few witch movies, and we're joined by special guests, Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks, and also the Spooky Okie is going to be with us. So do not miss that episode as we get prepared for Practical Magic 2. The week after that, we've got Jeffrey Barker. This is the brother of Curry Barker, who directed Obsession. Jeffrey was the key PA for Obsession and is also the producer of an upcoming movie called Resonance. We are super excited to have him back for a Prepisode where we're going to be discussing his top 5 video game adaptations, all in preparation to see Resident Evil in theaters that Friday. Hope those episodes excite you. So without further ado, let's get to the podcast. We are back with another episode of the Movies That Make You podcast. I am Sprang. My co-host POPpaGoss could not make it today, but he will be popping in for his Backlot breakdowns after each movie. But we do have a special guest here. Josh and I got to moderate the panels at OKC HorrorCon, and there was a guy sitting on the front row at every single panel asking some great questions. And so we got to talking, and I was just like, man, you got to come on the podcast. We'd love to have your insights. Mr. Keith Cantrell, what's happened, my brother?
How's it going, Sprang?
Going great, man. Going great. How you been since OKC?
I have been great. You know, we did make some great memories that weekend, man. You really did a good panel, and thanks for taking my questions. And I like to dig deep, you know, not things like, you know, what inspired you. And I like to ask something they're not ready for. Sometimes I'll ask them beforehand, what's a question that you wish people would ask you? And rarely do I get a good answer for that, but yeah, I try.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Yeah, man, it was great. We actually had the pleasure of interviewing Scott Stewart last night. Josh and I did. He's director of Dark Skies, Legion, Priest. And I asked him a really, really fun question about the fact that, Priest and Legion both have the main character in a situation where it's kind of deconstructing religion and faith, because it's the people you think are the good guys are actually the bad guys. And so I just asked him, where did that come from? And so I was trying to dig deep into it, and it was a pretty good answer. And excited for that interview to drop in November. But yeah, I'm the same way. Whenever I go to a con, it's like if I'm at a panel and something intrigues me, I want to ask something that's thoughtful and not just like, what was it like being on the movie? Like
I know. Yeah. They're just people, man. They're just like you and me, except, millions of people know who they are.
Exactly. Well, being that it's your first time on the podcast, I do like to ask our first time guests just to share a little bit about where your love of movies came from.
Well, my mom was single when she was raising me. And so I didn't have a sitter, I think, from the time I was 5. I know it was a different time and place, man, but I knew how to make pour cereal, I knew how to make a sandwich, and I knew how to work television and the telephone. So for moms, that was cool enough, you know. Don't answer the door, always answer the phone, eat when you're hungry, and here's the television, you know. So I was really hooked on shows like Abbott and Costello and the Three Stooges and shows like that. And one episode of Abbott and Costello came on a Saturday morning, I think, and it was Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. And I was like, who is this dude? And it also had Bela Lugosi as Dracula,
Yeah.
Lon Chaney as the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, and the Mummy were in on it. And I was just blown away by these monsters. And and yeah, they were scary, but there was some kind of thrill. There was a thrill to it. I mean, that's why they call them thrillers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I started seeking more of these movies out. I couldn't find them, and let's just say I got in trouble a couple of times and ended up having to get a sitter eventually. And I would tell my sitter, you know, I want to see more Frankenstein movie. I want to see Wolfman and what other monsters are there? And I found Godzilla and Son of Godzilla, and you know all of those were coming on, and I just love these creature features and monster movies. And my sitter would say, "Well, you got to stay up late for those, you know, young man. You gotta get your mom in on that one because come midnight, there's a show called Bob Wilkins Creature Features, and this was in California." And so I begged my mom to stay up, and you know, I wouldn't let up, and so I started seeing, you know, like Night of the Living Dead and movies of that sort, and
Yeah.
all of the Draculas and all of the different stars that played them, and so I really kind of raised myself on horror. And as a teenager, when you get into rebellion, you want everything more hardcore than it can be. Of course, I got into John Carpenter, Stephen King, and David Cronenberg, and movies like The Thing and From Beyond, you know, Lovecraft movies, and just the hardcore. And man, next thing you know, we got Evil Dead coming out, and I'm horror for life, man. I'm hooked on it. I love the funny stuff. I love the scary stuff. I love the gory stuff.
Yeah.
It's nice when you have a story behind it. That's cool. But I'm really all about the monsters and whatnot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited that we actually just dropped this interview before this episode. But it's Mike P. Nelson who directed Wrong Turn remake. He directed Silent Night, Deadly Night remake. He's getting ready to release Beware Biona, which is a creature feature about like a snake in the Amazon, and it's chasing after people. But it's got Logan Marshall Green in it as the lead. But Michael P. Nelson, he was such a great interview and a lot of fun. And so definitely check that out on the YouTube channel. But yeah, it's just one of those kind of creature things that he's working on. It's about to drop in the States later this year, and so I'm excited for that just because it's we met the guy behind it, right? But you know, kind of mentioning the creature features for me, I got into it through the slasher angle because I was my first horror movie was Scream 1996, and I went with some friends to the dollar theater. That's what you did back then after it had its full run in the major theaters, and it was like $10 a pop. Then they sent it over to the dollar theater. You could go for cheaper. And so I got to go see that with some friends, and I was just blown away. I'd already heard about the Freddys and Jasons. I knew who the characters were, but seeing that movie kind of talk about the tropes and talk about the things with such care and love really kind of put me on. This is great. And the twist at the end that it was, you know, not just one killer, but two and things like that. It was just like, just blew my mind as a 16-year-old kid. And so it was fun to kind of, that was my angle. So when I got to college, I was like, all right, let me knock out every single of these slashers, you know, and I kind of started on that trip. So of the
Get caught up,
monsters,
yeah.
I tried. Of the monster movies, what would you say is your favorite monster?
Gosh, probably The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. It's not just one particular monster,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I've always loved the Wolfman as well. It's tough. There's certain things that I love about each monster that we have. Frankenstein, you know, Dracula. They all have such incredible backstories, and It's hard to pick a favorite, but if it was a monster movie, I'd probably go with The Thing.
It's crazy because like just the last few years, we've gotten so many good uh I would say remakes or kind of maybe just continuations of those stories of Dracula, Frankenstein. We had two Frankenstein movies come out with Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's, and then Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. We had Wolfman from a couple years ago, and now we've got Werewolf coming out. We had Nosferatu come out, then we had another Dracula movie come out. I mean, it's just
Yeah, it never gets old.
it's great. It's great. We have these stories are so timeless. They've been around for so long. It mind boggles to me when we were doing like the Dracula episode that she came up with all of this crazy stuff. The writers came up with all this crazy stuff, this all this lure and everything, and put it in this book that's like over 200 years old, and it's still there. It's still present in our consciousness. We all know the tropes, or we all know the things of vampires. How do we all know this information? It's crazy, but
Yeah,
it's the
yeah, it's
movies help.
eternal. Yeah,
Yeah, the movies help keep those stories alive. So it's pretty wild.
yeah, I agree, man. I love it. I love that it's all still thriving. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
It is a specific genre. It is considered, another cult classics.
Hmm.
But I love it. I love it all. Drink it up.
For sure. So before we jump into kind of the movies we're going to talk about today, where'd you get that hat, man? It looks so good.
I saw this really groovy hat in Oklahoma, and I really wanted one. So, yeah, when I'm
Yeah,
not watching horror movies, I'm endorsing really cool hats.
I love it.
But yeah, it's like I tell everybody, you can order these online. You've
Yeah,
got a website that you can get these from. I got a shirt too, but I had to sport my Insidious shirt. I don't know if you can see it or not, but
yeah.
I got
Looks
this at
good.
Universal when they did this back in 24. But
Nice.
yeah, love the hat. Yeah, I got the memo to wear it.
Yeah,
Just kidding. Very coincidental.
yeah. No,
They
it's
look
good.
like bros.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, today, guys, we are jumping into all of the Insidious films because we've got Insidious. You see the poster behind Keith. The Insidious Out of the Further drops in theaters this Friday as we drop this episode. And so we're going to talk through all the Insidious movies. And to our guests' request, we are going to do it in a way that's chronological as opposed to when it was released. So we're going to start with Insidious 3. Then we're going to go to Insidious The Last Key, then Insidious 2010, Insidious 2, and then Insidious Red Door that dropped in 2023. And this is the continuation of some new story, it seems. The kind of the log line is that Gemma is a young lady that can go into the further, but now she figures out she has the power to bring things out of the further with her. So then the further can crash into the real world, and they all are chasing after her to get that power and get out of the further back into real life. So kind of crazy. Tell us a little bit about just kind of in general your intrigueness by the Insidious films.
Thank you for doing them in chronological order because we really need to geek out like that.
Yeah.
Um, i- in order to understand what we think we know so far, or what might happen in this new movie, I'm
Mm-hmm.
really excited because it's about time. Like I was saying, if there's a door in, there's a door out, and it's just a matter of time that these demons or parasites, as we're referring them to, find their way into our world without having to possess one of us. And that is scary, man, because they're not going to look like one of us. They're going to look like the demons they are. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
super spooky and scary. And I'm really intrigued by this. And again, it's just about time that I'm not surprised this is where we're going with it because,
Right.
again, if there's a way in, there's a way out.
Yeah. No,
And
I like
they're going to
that.
find that way out and into our world.
For sure. For sure. Well, let's jump into it. How about it?
Yeah, yeah. So, part one of the story is going to be the third installation, chapter three, which
Mm-hmm.
honestly is part one, but it starts a few years before, I think it's set in 2007, before we meet the Lambert family, and it's the origin story of Elise, and, and it's the story of a young girl, her name's Quinn, and she's trying to talk to her mom. She misses her mom, so she contacts Elise and she's this is how we meet Elise. Elise has decided to try and help her at first, and she's going now. And the big takeaway here, I'll jump to it real quick, is that Elise tells her, if you got to be careful because if you're reaching out and talking to one of the dead, they all can hear you. So really sets the premise on everything, and that's why I think it's a perfect part one and first thing to jump into. And we get to meet Specs and Tucker. And side note, Specs is played by the writer, Leigh Whannell. Am I saying that right?
Lee Whannell. Yeah,
Leigh Whannell.
yeah.
Yeah. So he plays Specs, so that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet these guys for the first time, and they're wannabes, man. Right? They've never talked to any spirits. They got all this funky gear and whatnot. You talk about fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and then Elise shows up, and things go down. Now they've got a reputation for what they claim to have been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much cool stuff about this, not just getting to the backstory and finding out who Elise is, but it's the story of Quinn and what she goes through to try and talk to her mom. And I mean, it's right out of the gate, man, when she gets hit by that car.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be full of spoiler alerts, everyone. So
Yeah.
you know, you wouldn't be watching, I don't think, if you were already caught up.
Yep.
Right. But yeah, Quinn gets nailed, man. She gets hit so hard, and it's like, how did she even survive this thing? But
Mm-hmm.
both legs are casted up, now she's
Yeah. Then that adds to the fear of the scenes when she's in the castage. Now she's stuck in bed, and we know, as the audience, we've seen the things that she's facing, and it's like really, really nuts because she's like crippled. She can't move. She can't get away, and so that just adds another layer of fear for us as the audience, knowing that she can't move if somebody does come after her. So
exactly, yeah. And her dad is, in all this disbelief of all this. You're making this up, honey. This never happened. Hey, you got things in your head, you snap out of this. This is BS, until he sees for himself. How is this girl flying across the room out of her bed?
Yeah.
She goes through some hell in this movie, man, from getting picked on by these demons to literally possessed at one point, which for me was the biggest gut wrencher was when she was busting those casts off of her legs,
Oh, yeah. And then like
and
trying to walk away, and she couldn't. Like that was
yes,
so
and to me that
painful.
was incredible acting right there.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, even though she's possessed, her legs are still busted, man.
Yeah.
They've only been in these casts for what, maybe a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be healed up enough to walk, and she's trembling, like she's trying to walk. And it's just so realistic.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
really dug that. You
Yeah.
could feel that pain.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And then police ends up going into the further to try and save her. And then they actually, they're both kind of out of it. And then who comes in to save her? It's her mom. Her mom finally comes in and saves everybody, which is a cool kind of like nice little, heart movement. Yeah.
It's a heart warmer. Yeah.
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 That's
That
good.
was really cool. Had a happy ending, so to speak.
Yep. And then they when they get out of the further, it's funny too because Elise is playing such a very serious stoic character, but then when she's out of the further, and when she's out of the moment, she's like very nice and chatty and smiles at Specs and Tucker, and they just have a nice little fun relationship. And she tells them because they're in jeans and t-shirts, and Tucker I think's got a different hairdo in every movie at this point. But she's like, well, I got some ideas about your outfits. Like we gotta work on your clothing.
Right. Lose the mohawk.
Yeah. So that's fun. That's fun for sure. Yeah, great film. What would you say is like your big kind of standout moment that jumps out at you when you think about this movie?
The biggest one again was just when she was possessed and she was taking the razor to her throat. They barely saved her from that, and that was post her, just the way she was bashing her casts into the side of the bed. You could feel it in your spine each crushing moment. So yeah, I like I said, I really like the gore and that type of stuff. So um, that was probably one of my most memorable moments for sure. But the big takeaway again is to learn that if you talk to one of them, you need to
Yeah,
understand you're talking to all of them, and that was by far the biggest takeaway I think, and it really set the pace.
for sure.
If you haven't watched these and you're not minding all these spoiler alerts and you're watching this podcast right now, start it in chronological order and it'll make so much more sense, and it doesn't take any of the fun out of it, and it's so easy to follow, and it's just a lot cooler.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, there's one moment where Elise is in the further, and she uh realizes that, because that's part of the thing, is she's also questioning her strength and her ability in the further, because these other demons and these other things are so scary and so strong, and she realizes in this film that she's strong too, and so she like walks in one time and pushes one of the demons away with like, and it just flies across the room. So I thought that was like a cool, like, kind of, anytime you do a sequel or in a franchise, you have to, like, your character still has to move from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. There still has to be some progress for your main characters, and that's what makes some sequels kind of duds, because it's like, well, either you have to lose all the things that they learned in the first movie, or you're just, your character doesn't move and it's just the things around them. So this one did a good job of kind of expanding on her role in the film, because in the original Insidious, she's in it for a fairly short amount of time. So getting this cool, like, backstory, and also recognizing that she had given up this game. So I mean, they could even do even more further back, with younger Elise, kind of that initial role of her going through this journey into this line of work, and kind of what that, because at the beginning of this one, she's already given up and she's like, I can't do this anymore. She's just meeting with this girl because she feels for her and wants to help her, and then she gets back in. It's like Godfather Part 3. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Yeah, pull me back in. That's right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I thought the actors and actresses did great in this one. Like you said, Lee Wanell was in the film as Specs. He wrote the film. James Wan directed the first two Insidious ones. But we'll probably get into that some in the backlot breakdown that Josh is going to do. Um, but I like the kid was reading the Clockwork Orange book. That was kind of a cool, like, little homage there.
yeah.
Um,
Little Easter egg there. Yep.
yeah, and then there was one scene where there was the eyeball was in the throat. She opened up her mouth, and like there,
Yes, that was
that
cool.
was just a cool visual that kind of threw you back. But yeah, it's a good entry into the franchise for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And and Lee Winnell, this has actually cut some kind of tame stuff for him. He
Hmm.
has a lot of people. If you don't already know this name, I mean, this guy not only did the Insidious 1, 2, 3, and the Key, but he did Saw, Saw 2, Saw 3, did Silence. The guy's a hell of a writer.
Yeah, 100%. I got to meet him at Texas Frightmare this year, and I had him sign my Saw poster, and Tobin Bell was there,
Awesome.
so I got his signature too. But but yeah, I think he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice guy. So I asked him a little bit about Saw, kind of the inspiration and all that. But yeah, it's fun. Him and James Wan kind of rose up together in film school, and so they worked really closely together on Saw and Insidious. Insidious is also a PG-13 series, and so that's really helpful for those of us that have kids that want to get them into horror but don't really feel comfortable with the
Yeah,
R-rated gore. It's like, hey, let's do
little
this
soft
one.
core.
So we were
Yep.
able to watch. We watched the first Insidious with the kids to prep for this podcast, and then I watched Insidious 2 with one of my sons last night to kind of finish it up. So yeah, great entry into the franchise. Chapter 3. This one was also directed by Lee Wanell.
And Juan also directed Conjuring and The Saw and
Yeah.
Aquaman,
Yep.
and as well as Insidious. Yeah, it's obvious these guys have chemistry together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's kick it over to Josh for the backlot breakdown for Insidious 3.
Yeah, thanks. I do have a couple of fun facts for Insidious 3. This one was the directorial debut of Lee Winnell. He actually wrote and directed the third one. This was his directorial debut, though, and he's gone on to do Invisible Man, Wolfman. He also did Upgrade, which is an awesome, underrated film with Logan Marshall Green. It's great if you've never seen it. There's a character in Insidious 3, the man who couldn't breathe is what he's quoted as being the character name, but he wanted him to be like the sloth character from Seven, if you guys remember that. And it's actually the same actor who played the sloth character in Seven plays the man who couldn't breathe in Insidious 3, which is crazy. Michael Reed McKay. So yeah, that's nuts. He used the same actor. And then just one other thing, Dermot Mulroney is in Insidious 3. He's been in Hollywood for quite some time, but this is the second time that he has played a father to a daughter named Quinn. He actually did it in Insidious 3, and then he also was the father to a daughter named Quinn in Scream 6. So just kind of nuts. But that's all I got on Insidious 3. Back to you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Let's go ahead and jump into The Last Key. This is the sequel, direct sequel to Chapter 3. We're following Elise. You want to give us a synopsis?
This starts right where 3 leaves off. So we're picking right up. This is why we're calling it part 2. But it dives into Elise's backstory. Growing up in New Mexico with an abusive father, and we meet the demon face, or the key face demon that kills her mom, right? And this movie got mixed reviews, and I don't really understand why they accused it of little plot and too many jump scares and whatnot. Because you remember the director this time was Adam, I think it's Rabittle. Am I saying that right? Rabittle.
Yeah.
But don't forget, man, Lee Winnell still wrote this, so it's still his story. It's gonna have a different flavor. It's gonna hit you a little bit differently when you got a different director. I loved it because, again, I love monsters, man. And the key face demon is killer looking. He's so creepy. We get into some of my favorite scenes with him, but it and the way it leads us right into part 1 at the end, it's skipping a whole bunch of stuff. But this movie, it came right out of the gate, just excellent, because there's a lot of things we already knew about Elise, but we get to see it. We get to see it happen. We get to see her as a little girl, and we meet her little brother, and her dad. I really guess he worked in a prison where they did lots of executions, capital punishment and whatnot. And the power would always kind of dim when someone was getting the chair, and Elise could feel this, and she knew the guy's name. She knew what he did. She knew what his last meal was, what his last words were. So she's got a gift, and we're learning this. And her mom's cool with it. Mom's like, yeah, but her dad is not cool with this. And he's trying to whip it out of her, and so it's a terrible beginning to an excellent story.
Yeah,
so where she's coming from. But you want to jump in from there, because it's one of my most exciting ones. That I love this one.
Yeah, we get a little bit as a little girl. We get her as a teenager, and she runs away from home. She's like, I'm done with this. She sees one final ghost, I guess. She's not heard, and she just leaves. And she's tired of dealing with her dad. She leaves her brother behind. Her brother holds it against her. They spend their whole lives separated. Elise, when she's asked to come to the house and do this, she says no at first, because she's like, there's too much there for me. There's too much emotional baggage to go back. But then she realizes that, no, I know what's there. I'm the best person to help this guy. So she goes to help. Finds out as she's going around the house that the guy is holding another girl hostage in the basement. And the ghost woman was actually helping Elise find her, saying, you got to find her, you got to help her, you got to save her. And then that opened up the door, no pun intended, to seeing, well, there's actually, that was also happening with her dad. Her dad was holding people hostage, and the final ghost she thought was a ghost was actually a trapped girl that he had kidnapped and held in the basement.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so the dad is just continually like, it can't get any worse, right? Oh no, it can't get worse. Like the dad is so bad. They did somewhat try to redeem him at the end when they're fighting off the key face man. He jumps in to try to protect her and he says, "I'm sorry." So it's like this thing there, but what she interprets in that I'm now remembering and recalling is that the key face man was controlling her dad, that the people that were living there, that the key face man could possess them and make them do some things against their own nature, or whatever, however you want to look at that. And so his redemption was saying, "I'm sorry," and she kind of forgave him for some of that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because they don't want you to know that they're trying to get in, right? And
yeah,
so for her dad's actions of saying, you didn't see this, you don't know this, you say that you did, all you have to do is say you didn't see or hear any ghosts,
right.
so yeah, you're right. That makes total sense that her dad is like saying, hey, I believed you. It wasn't me talking, but he was
Yeah,
also he was also doing terrible things, man. Her mom definitely was a good guy at the end as well, and helped fight off this key. And let me tell you, this key demon, man, the way he would, all his fingers were keys, and he'd stick it in your throat and turn your voice off. You'd put it in your heart and
yeah.
stop your heart, whatever. What an original idea! I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I just lots of really cool visuals from the key face man. Also, the doubling of the image. So her dad runs the penitentiary, and so there's jail cells, and then each time it's a red door that they go into the further. And this one, when the door is opened, it's also like a penitentiary. It's like jail cells of all the demons that are in there in the further at that spot, and so just kind of her interacting with all of that and the potential of all that. And yes, I did, like you said, the key turning off the voice was a cool visual effect and the audio effect of seeing those voices disappear was really cool. And then of course Elise having to figure out how to stop him. And then the mom coming in at the end of this one as well. The her mom coming in and saving her because she believed her the whole time was a really cool touching end to the story.
Agreed. Yeah. And I felt like Elise was kind of on her own in this one because, Tucker and Specs were going goo goo gaga puppy love over the two daughters that Elise's brother had. And
Yeah.
so they were it was over the top, and really funny moments, trying to
Yeah.
be cool, tough guys when you're really just ghost nerds.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And that was a cool twist with the one daughter getting injured, and then the other daughter says, "I see things too." And so it was like there was
Hmm.
this instant connection between Elise and her niece, and so then she came in and helped them, and so that was a really cool to kind of see that bloodline kind of continue. And then the fact that the brother gets the whistle back, and that they kind of mend their relationship is really touching as well. So I love that guy. That guy's awesome too. Like he's a great actor. I remember him first in X-Men. He played like the politician that they turned into a mutant because he was against mutants in the first X-Men. So it was fun to see him pop up in this film as well.
It was also interesting to see that it can be, well, obviously hereditary to have these gifts and being psychic because, her niece has it, Elise has it. And at the same time, you know, well, we don't know this yet, but we're going to find out soon that Josh and his son share a hereditary gift as well, and visiting to further. But that's going to bring us into the next chapter. But yeah, so
For
the,
sure.
the the takeaway for me on this one was the big one was just learning that refusing to feed into the cycles of abuse will and can defeat the inner and outer monsters in you. You know, and
Yeah, very
which you
nice.
pointed out also in the last movie, where Elise realized, hey, I'm strong too. And once you know this and you exercise this, you might have the upper hand against these. Because remember, they're the ones that are doing the trying. We're
Yeah.
here doing it.
Yep. Absolutely. That's a great call. I think that, as far as the story goes, we got a little bit of backstory in Insidious 3. In this one, we get more of Elise's backstory as she's a child, as like I said, a teenager, and then this other story that's continuing. So it's cool to kind of have that, get to know her character, get to know the foundation of her character, because then she's going to show up in Insidious, and we'll kind of already know a little bit of what she's got, what abilities she has. So before we do that, though, let's get the backlot breakdown with POPpaGoss for Insidious The Last Key.
I do have just one thing for Insidious The Last Key. Adam Robital, who directed The Last Key, he actually did Taking of Deborah Logan and Escape Room. Taking of Deborah Logan, if you guys have not seen this, that movie's fantastic. But yeah, he did The Last Key. And he also did Escape Room, which I know a lot of people enjoyed. This one was also written by Lee Winnell again, so I think he has written most of them, or it's just, mostly based off of his writings from the first 3 movies. So really fun, but that's all I got on The Last Key. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Josh. Good stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into Insidious 2010. This is the first Insidious film, came out in 2010. We've already mentioned it a little bit. James Wan directed, Lee Winnell writing it. And this one stars Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, and Ty Simpkins. You want to give us the rundown?
Yeah, man. So this is where we meet the Lambert family. They're battling forces that are trying to trap their son, Dalton. He's being tricked because he finds out that when he dreams, he goes places, and he's drawing pictures and whatnot about what he's doing, what he's seeing. Last night, I watched myself sleep, I think was one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course, Josh isn't believing in any of this. And, Dalton goes into this coma, and I want to say it was for like, I don't know, 2 months or something. It was a long, long time. This is where we meet the bride in black, right? The bride's wish is to get into Dalton, take over completely, come into our world, and do whatever the agenda is for the bride in black, right? Elise is called in, and she wants to, she stops this from happening, which plots revenge in the bride's mind to kill Elise inevitably. My favorite thing about this is we learn a little more about this further in this one, and that it's a place where people that did terrible things are kind of doomed to repeat those actions over and over. It's like a punishment. There's lots of different demons in there, and we don't know all of their stories, but we meet someone that I believe is called the Doll Face. This girl she's just beautiful, super gorgeous, dressed in like this 50s outfit. Obviously, she shot her whole family with a shotgun, and she's just cursed and doomed to relive that moment over and over again. And she's someone that we meet kind of briefly, in my opinion, in this, but she's so unforgettable.
Yeah,
Just
for sure.
this smile that she has on her face, man. We find out that Josh had this gift as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had a problem with getting this picture taken all his life, and we find out that this bride in black has been following Josh and trying to get in, but Josh was had his memory suppressed, so that's why she's trying to get into Dalton, because he's more accessible. And you see pictures of Josh in the past, and the bride's getting closer to him in each picture. But we talk about everything. You jump in on this one.
Yeah, and we also get the lips. Is it the lipstick face demon? The red face demon that pops up a couple times in it. We get a couple of good scares, softer scares as opposed to maybe jump scares. There's the one where she's walking into the baby's room, and there's a demon behind the fabric,
Like the
that's like kind
curtain.
of the curtain. Yeah. And then she screams. Of course, we scream and then go in there, and there's nobody there. And this is another situation where she's experiencing this, and Patrick Wilson's not believing her at all. And so he just continues to say this, you're just making it all up. And then they finally bring Elise in. Elise kind of knows a little bit more. Then his mom shows up the next time and tells him, well, this happened to you. We know it's true because this happened to you when you were a kid. And they were giving little hints at it because throughout the movie, you're getting snapshots of him seeing himself sleep as a kid. And so it's like kind of planting that bug in your ear, like, oh yeah, this is something that he has faced, but he doesn't know what he's looking at because he had, like you said, the memory was suppressed so that he wouldn't succumb to these demons any longer. But now he has to have that memory revealed and brought back so that he can go into the further and get Dalton and come back out. But they find the guy, the red faced demon there, and he's got like hooves for legs, and then he's super scary and chasing after them, and then they finally get out, and then at the very end, it was a really cool camera shot because it shows the bride outside the house. He's in the further version of their house. They've already got Dalton out, but he's inside the house, she's outside the house, and then the camera does a little spin thing and they change places, and now the black bride is inside the house and he's outside the house, and then he wakes up, and then if you're paying attention, that this probably isn't going to go well. And then Patrick Wilson turns to Elise and says something, and Elise can tell that he's not himself. And then she, like you said, the black bride, a black dress bride, kills Elise, and that's how the movie ends, on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. She takes this picture, right? She's like, she's like, hey, something's not right with him. Josh isn't acting like himself. That doesn't sound like something he would say, or whatever. And she sneaks the camera. She quick grabs a picture of him, and of course he flips out. Why did you do that? You know how I hate that. And he decides he's gonna strangle Elise to death. But so that's where we learn it's not, Josh isn't back. He's not back from the further. He's still stuck there, and the bride got through because they show the picture that was taken later on. The mom picks up the camera and sees. Yeah, that's quite a cliffhanger, man. But it's a standalone at the same time. I mean, the whole, it didn't even have to be a franchise. That was a hell of an ending.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. A couple other things that stood out to me, just like funny, like homages. There's a scene where he's kind of after class and he's told her that he's staying late, but he really just has to work. But he doesn't have to work. He just doesn't want to go home. But you see James Wan as one of his students' names on the chalkboard behind him. And then in another scene, someone's drawn the Saw doll, like the clown doll that rides the tricycle, is also drawn on the board too. So a couple of Saw references in that.
Oh, I didn't catch that. That's really cool. Yep. I love those little Easter eggs, man.
Yeah. One of the other things I think is really unique about this one is that they had just moved into that house to begin with. And so they were like, we have to get out of this house because this house is haunted, which is what normally happens in a haunted house film. But then they moved to another house and they realized, oh, wait, it wasn't the house that was haunted. It was us. So I thought that was a cool kind of twist.
Sprang is then that is the takeaway. That's the takeaway from this movie, is that it's not the house that's haunted, it's the boy. And the way we leave it, it's Josh, it's the husband, it's the dad.
Yep.
So yeah, that was as far as just a rounded up synopsis, man. This is what we've learned now.
Yeah. I like the seance that they did. She's got the gas mask. She has to talk into it to this really, really softly. And so Lee Whannell Speck's got he's writing down whatever she's saying. So she's talking. So I thought that was a cool look. And then it's all electronic, because normally we do seance and it's candles, it's a table, it's all that stuff. But this was a really cool take, I think, on and kind of showing you the uniqueness of this idea of this franchise. Is it's not kind of just the traditional way that we've talked about ghosts before. And I think that seance delivers on a kind of like a Gothic, neo-Gothic kind of way, a different take on the seance, more electric. And then of course we get all the humor from Specs and Tucker, which is just great. Especially, watching them in chronological order, you see their progression of their characters. But in this one, it's already established. And so their banter is super funny, even in this one, the first time watching.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because we don't know yet that they've been faking it till they make it.
Right.
And even now that they're seasoned, their experience, they've done this once or twice. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, even for that.
So in the first movie that we talked about, she said, I got clothes for you. We need to work on your dress code. Second movie, we forgot to mention that she gives them basically Jehovah's Witness outfits, black pants, white shirt, and a tie. and then that's how we see them in this one. So that they've established their kind of, all right, this is our look now, I guess, going forward. But that was super fun to kind of see that flow into the story, having watched it originally in release order. But that was cool. Barbara Hershey did such a great job as his mom. And so we know her from the Black Swan. She played Natalie Portman's mom in Black Swan. And so, but she did a great job in this one. I think there was really touching movement between her and Rose when she's trying to encourage her, like, hey, you're not alone. Like, kind of mom to mom, I've been here. Literally, she didn't know at that point. She didn't want to say it out loud yet, but literally, I've been where you've been. You're doing great. Like, I thought that was a really touching moment from the mother-in-law. So good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for Insidious from us, but let's hear what Josh has to say in his backlot breakdown for Insidious 2010.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, I do have some, just a couple on this one, but Insidious 2, great sequel. Obviously not as incredible as the first movie. A lot of times sequels, it's tough to, especially in horror, it's tough to make a sequel just as good as the first one. This one was also directed by James Wan and written by James and Lee. The real thing, the only fact that I really took away from this one that was kind of fun is the hospital in Insidious 2. It's actually Linda Vista Community Hospital, which has been in like 30 plus movies and TV shows, music videos, stuff like that. But it was used in Outbreak, Seven, LA Confidential, End of Days, The Cell, Pearl Harbor, TV shows like ER, Dexter, Criminal Minds, Buffy, and just a ton more. So really fun. That hospital has a cameo in Insidious 2. Just really fun. But that's all I got for this one. Not a ton, but back to you guys.
Thanks, Josh. That was some good stuff. All right, let's jump into Insidious 2. This is now as you said, Keith, the fourth chapter in our story. But let's hear what you got.
So this is gonna, pretty much pick up right where the first one left off. But we are seeing a young Elise. I want to say she's in her mid-20s, maybe. And we meet Josh's mother, and we find out that she did in fact make him forget. Or we find out that his mother did make him forget all of this stuff, but we've still got, we still got the bride in black that's stuck inside of Josh, right? So we've got to deal with all of that crazy stuff. He's walking around like, hey, we're all good now, and mom is still seeing and hearing things. Kids aren't acting quite right. And he's like, get over it. Can't we just get past it? And he doesn't seem to understand. And there's even a scene where she's playing the piano, right? And he's like, is this about a time for music, or something like that? And he's like, what is that? And she's like, that's our song. Like, I wrote that for you, remember? And he's like, yeah, I think we need to concentrate on something else. Kind of plays it off a little bit, but so she's starting to get suspicious, and he he gets violent, and it gets pretty wacky. But yeah, for the most part, we're exploring the aftermath of part one, and we're dealing with the fact that the bride in black has got control of Josh, and so we learn a little more about the bride, and we find out that he's a product. The bride is actually he started as a young boy. His name is Parker, and his mother wanted his name to be Marilyn. And she's there's scenes where she's telling him, go put on your dress, and you are a little girl, like she wanted a girl. And so of course this is going to drive a kid to, going to drive him to be something terrible. And so that's our backstory for the bride in black. And so the bride wants to come back. This is the reason she doesn't care if she gets Josh. She always wanted Josh, but that's why she was trying to get the son, is to come back and continue doing his mom's bidding. So,
yeah,
if you will.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool kind of continuation of that story. The first movie, Josh has to go into the further to save Dalton. And in this movie, Dalton has to go in and save his dad. And so that's kind of how we kind of culminate into that moment. And then what they decide to do at the very end is they say, you know what, we got to suppress both their memories. So the same thing that they did to Josh when he was a kid, which we saw in the first part of this movie, they're going to do it at the end of this movie, and they're going to suppress it, which is going to set us up for the red door in a really magnificent way too. But they're like, we have to suppress them because they both have this gift, and they were going to get like the demons are going to keep coming after them if they know they can go to the further. We have to take it away and suppress it. So kind of a same kind of solution as the first movie, sort like kind of a reversal of the first movie. But I feel like the beats in this one were different. It felt like it was a lot more of like instead of we weren't dealing with the haunted house, we were dealing with the haunted dad and that he's possessed, and that was a little bit more of the intensity was the kind of the fear of dad and all that stuff that plays out through the rest of the movie. And
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. It had very much the same takeaway as the last one, and that was that the evil came from inside Josh. Again, not the house. So it was really what the driving point was again. It's kind of the same point, separate story, but we did need to get past Josh being possessed by the bride in black, and we
yeah,
needed to
figure out
yeah,
what
we
how did
had
they
to
get
have this happen.
yeah, how did they get past that? You know, after the first movie, we want to see what happened to him and the family, and it's not good. It's not good. Even though they say they kind of get rescued in this movie, they kind of get rid of the lady in black. It still doesn't end with a happy note. It's more like we've survived, but we're not the same anymore. We're not the same family that we were when we started the movie.
Yeah, and there's chunks of time missing in their lives, and they're lost with what this was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that they're not allowed to talk about it; it's that they don't know what to talk about. They've lost contact, and then that's going to bring us into the next one. But
Yeah.
there was some good stuff about it because Tucker and Specs, they continue on, and we find out that they're still working, and they're working with the ghost of Elise, right?
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah, yeah,
Elise
yeah.
is right. So Elise is still with them. So we still have our favorite medium. She's not. She did. Yeah, she died, man. She was killed in Insidious in the third chapter. But we still get to keep her, and they start showing little more snippets about this red-faced lipstick guy, and it seems like he's running stuff, in the further, but you don't see enough of him to know why. We're left with the question of who is this red-faced guy, man, and what's with this door, with this red door, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's a great twist on the whole like ghost story the whole thing. Like I feel like that they did such a good job of like what do we do when our main character dies? Well, this is a ghost story, so we just talk to them. Like we just go find
Right.
them. They're
I know.
here somewhere.
Yeah,
Like
it's easy.
nobody needs to be sad. No one has to be. We don't have to. We don't have to write her off. In the next movie, she's still around because we're talking about ghosts here. So I thought that was a really cool twist on the vibe because I don't think anybody expected her to be back, right? Because she was killed. So it's a really cool thing. I think like we said, like they have a really interesting take. Lee Whannell has a really interesting take on these films and these stories that he's trying to tell. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Very nice. Well, let's jump to Josh for the Backlot breakdown. POPpaGoss, take us through it. Insidious Chapter 2.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, I do have some, just a couple on this one, but Insidious 2, great sequel. Obviously not as incredible as the first movie, especially in horror. It's tough to make a sequel just as good as the first one. This one was also directed by James Wan and written by James and Lee. The only fact that I really took away from this one that was kind of fun is the hospital in Insidious 2. It's actually Linda Vista Community Hospital, which has been in like 30 plus movies and TV shows, music videos, stuff like that. But it was used in Outbreak, Seven, LA Confidential, End of Days, The Cell, Pearl Harbor, TV shows like ER, Dexter, Criminal Minds, Buffy, and just a ton more. So really fun. that hospital has a cameo in Insidious too. That's all I got for this one. Not a ton, but back to you guys.
Awesome. Well, we have reached the steps right in front of our final movie we're going to talk about today, and it is the fifth in the release order and in our chronological order. It ends the same. We follow back up with the same Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne and Ty Simpkins. But I did want to point out before we jump into the synopsis, Patrick Wilson takes over as the director. So pretty
That's
cool for
right.
that. And Lee Wannell wrote this one as well. So yeah, let's take it away. What do we got?
So now we're 9 years later. Okay, it's not just a couple of years back or 2 weeks later. Man, no, 9 years have gone by. So Dalton, he's at college age. He's quite the artist. He can draw. He's got a gift with chalk. I think he's really good with chalk drawings, right? And there's a very, very broken relationship with him and his father. We saw this coming, man. We saw this coming at the end of the last one, and Dalton in his art, and let me just back up, man. Like their relationship is so terrible, and neither of them is really trying, you know. And it's the mom that says, "Hey, I think you should drive Dalton to college." Oh, he
Mhm.
doesn't want that. Well, you don't know. Why don't you at least ask him? And
Yeah.
of course, Dalton's like, "Oh, I guess, sure, whatever." And there's no talking. He's got his earbuds in. He's listening to uh, classic rock or something like that. Anyway, gets into his room and Josh blows up at him. When did you become such an ungrateful, you know, little shit, kind of thing to him? And just all they do is make it worse on each other. And Josh and Dalton's, he's drawing family members and putting them up on the wall, and Dad notices just about everybody but him is up there, and it's like, oh, I didn't make the wall, huh?
Yeah.
And it's like, Father of the Year, huh? Yeah, they're one-liners back and forth, at just chewing away at whatever might be left of their relationship, and it's just terrible. And so we're really just dealing with Dalton for the most part of the beginning of this, and his funny little sidekick college roommate she was fun.
Hmm.
And we know that some terrible things that happen on campus, and Dalton's starting to see ghosts, and he's starting to draw things he doesn't understand. He ends up inadvertently drawing the red door,
Yeah.
and unknowingly opens, he opens this door, pulling him and his dad back into the further, and he starts to, he's not really remembering, but he's
Right.
starting to get a grasp on the fact that he can walk in his sleep, and he can go places um, that he shouldn't be going.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's like when you think about the relationship, and when you like while we do not like stress in our lives, we do not like going through horrible things in life. Like we most of the time we would love it to just be easy, easy, just let life be fun, and no stress, no problems. But what those problems do, and what those difficulties and those trials do, is they bind us together with the people that we go through them with. So if you take a father and a son who've been through as we've seen them, two very traumatic life experiences, and you cut that out of their relationship, and you cut all of that memory, they don't have it anymore, and they've got gaps, and they don't know why they have gaps, but they have gaps in their relationship, and they can't piece it together, and so they just feel like something's off, and they don't know how to fix it, because we're trying to protect them by taking that memory away and suppressing that power, but it ends up being the thing that destroys their relationship. And so this movie is really the further is drawing them back, and the further might be seen as the enemy. It's a place where the dead go, and this purgatory type situation. There's demons and things like that. That's all bad, but it's actually doing these guys a favor by putting them back in there so they can find themselves again and find their love for each other. So I mean, this movie has some of those great moments. like you said, they're arguing in the beginning, but we do get them back together and fighting for each other at the end. And it's relatable. Each of these movies are relatable in different ways. And this one, as a dad, is relatable to me because it's like we've all gone through being a son and a father, having that kind of discord and always wanting it to be better. And this movie kind of gives us a little bit of that story, father, son, kind of binding together, working together. And I thought Ty Simpkins did so great in this one as he's grown up now. He's for those of you that don't know, he's also the kid from Iron Man 3. So we saw him at Tony Stark's funeral at Endgame, and a lot of people wondered, who's that kid? Why is he standing there? Well, because he was the kid in Iron Man 3 that helped him overcome his PTSD. But yeah, I thought he did great in this. Got longer hair. He's punk. He's a little punk, but he's also like you said, an artist. I mean, he plays it so well, and I do think that I felt like the relationship. We didn't say it exclusively or particularly, but they are separated, at least maybe divorced by this time. Rose and Patrick, but they do still have a care for each other. Like the fact that Rose is trying to help their relationship. It's kind of like they had to separate because of what they went through, but she doesn't blame him. It's like it was out of your control to do the things you did, but you did things to me that I can't forget. And so we can't be together anymore, but I still care for you and I still love you as the father of my sons. And so it's a cool dynamic. And I think they did a good job kind of displaying that in the movie as well.
I agree. Yeah. And it shows the takeaway for this one for me was that you can't outrun or bury the generational trauma, that or past pain. You can't outrun it. You have to face it. And you're right, 100% about the further actually being a place where they could find closure of the missing pieces. They found the missing pieces, and now they know. And one of the most beautiful things was, at the end when he makes the wall. Not only does Josh make the wall, but it's the memory of him carrying Dalton out of the further as a child.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just beautiful.
It really was.
Something we didn't mention was that not only was it fun that Patrick Wilson directed this one, but it wasn't just written by Lee this time. There was a co-writer named Scott Teens. And Scott is known for some of his Southern Gothic horror stories. And he wrote The Quarry, That Evening Sun, and most people know a little show called Narcos. And I'll go ahead and say it, Halloween Kills as well, but but we won't hold that against him.
Yeah.
But so we had it, and it didn't get a lot of flack, this one, like the Key did, I thought it was a terrific story, and it was just even more character building. And I mean, you said it best. It's the father and son bonding and the going through everything they did, and to the way that it ended, it was just perfect.
Yeah,
it was just absolutely perfect.
I agree. It definitely. I mean, I think it's a great entry into the series, and I don't know the hate for the Last Key. But I mean, even with that one, like it's still got a good track record. Insidious still has a good track record on the films. So before we jump into our thoughts for Out of the Further, though, let's go ahead and kick it over to POPpaGoss for the Backlot breakdown.
Yes, I do have some fun facts for the Red Door. This is the most recent one before we get this new one. The Insidious franchise is really cool. You guys know earlier I said Lee Winnell had his directorial debut for the third one, but he's also been close to the project for a long time by writing all the scripts. Patrick Wilson, kind of similar, but as an actor. Ghost, the rock band, which is fantastic live if you've never seen them. The band that they cover is called Shakespeare's Sister, but they did a cover of their song Stay. And Patrick Wilson actually sings in that cover song, which is cool. For those of you who don't know, Patrick Wilson has a little bit of Broadway like musical background. He's actually touring right now, or it's in New York City. He's in the Lost Boys musical, which I heard is awesome. So I hope it tours one day. But yeah, Patrick Wilson, very talented. His real wife, Dagmara Dominichezik, I messed that up badly, She actually has a small role. She was also in Count of Monte Cristo. And she also was in Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, which was fun. But yeah, Red Door, it was fun bringing the old gang back from the first two movies. But yeah, Patrick Wilson did a lot for this one on top of acting in it as well. So very fun. But back to you guys.
Thanks, Josh. Wish you were here, buddy, but I know you're resting up and trying to get better. So glad that you were able to be on this, even if it was just for your little segments. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about. I mean, we talked, kind of gave a somewhat of a premise of what the movie's going to be, but Out of the Further hits theaters Friday.
Yeah, we've got a new writer, we've got a new director, and they're both Jacob Chase. He co-wrote with David Leslie, but let's talk about Jacob Chase for a minute. He's known for some short stories and screenplays that were maybe underground famous. One's called Larry, another one called Come Play, Infinite, and then David obviously has some history with him as a co-writer. He did The Conjuring 1 and 2, and he also wrote Last Rites, Conjuring, and a little show called Walking Dead.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
we've got great writers on this one.
Yeah.
Jacob also directed this, and he's worked with David Leslie before on A Girl in the Woods, Come Play, and again, a little underground movie called Larry. I haven't seen these, but I've read some really good reviews on them. It's so hard to catch up on everything.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I did do a little bit of research on these guys, and I'm excited. I'm really excited about what they have, and I'm really excited that Lee and James Wan are involved in the production of this one. So they've got their hands on it. Might be strangers to us, but
Sure.
they've
But
got sitters.
It's part of the family, right? It's part of that Wan family, Wan and 1L. Because I did just check out David Leslie Johnson. Also, he wrote Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So he's worked with James Wan on those two films particular. And like you said, Conjuring Last Rites. And so they're leaving the Lambert family behind. This one's a new family. I think they felt like, hey, let's kind of bring in some new blood and let's see how they can tell this story a little differently, but still kind of keep it in the family, and so yeah, we got Lynn Shay back though, so Elise is still going to be in the film,
to
a certain extent.
I know.
Going to be probably helping her figure out her powers, which is what she's great at. So yeah, looks like a lot of fun. Looks like a lot of young cast too. So again, it's kind of not rebooting the franchise, but it's bringing some new fresh blood into the franchise to help it relate to a younger audience and hopefully be scary as they all have been.
Yeah. We don't know a whole lot about what's about to happen. We know the young girl has a gift that she can go there and she can bring them back. We know we've got Elise with us. I don't know if we're going to have Tucker and Inspects or not. I hope so. I don't see why we wouldn't, but it'd be kind of cool if they had a little cameo. Looking at the trailer for it, I see that we're gonna get the Dollface gal again.
Nice.
So I'm pretty excited about that. All she has to do is smile and cock that rifle, and I'm happy.
Right. Yeah, it's such a great visual. Absolutely, brother.
And,
absolutely.
And it's being called a sequel to the last one. So
okay.
I don't know if that means it's going to somehow pick up where it left off, or I don't know.
Yeah. Could just be that
we don't know a whole lot.
Yeah, it could just be that the story is continuing from that timeline. We're not kind of jumping around anymore. We're still it's a sequel. It's not a prequel. That could be, or it could be like re-sequel. Who knows? It's a reboot.
Right, yeah. Yeah. So, but like I said, it's about time that we went there. Started this by saying, if there's a way in, there's a way out, and it was just a matter of time till we figured out where to put this in the story for this to happen. Exactly. And to see these demons and these parasites and what they're going to look like when they make it over. Mm-hmm. I mean, the trailer, it's just, there are jump scares in the trailer that get me every time. Yeah. I mean, every time. And I love that. Like when you watch Carrie and you know what's going to happen at the end. and it still gets you every single time.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
I love that. And so really excited about this one, man. And I just can't thank you enough for having me on here to talk about it and geek out
Absolutely.
on it with you.
Absolutely, man. This has been so much fun, brother. I really appreciate you being willing to be on here. And like I said, I appreciated your questions, very thoughtful. I knew you thought about movies in a similar fashion. You know, it's not just entertainment. There's something more going on here that we can pull from, and we can learn about our own lives and ourselves, and how we need to act in the world to a certain extent. Even in horror movies, some people might say that's crazy, but it's not. It's We actually get a lot of good life lessons, as we've talked about in this episode, from horror movies. So, Keith, I can't thank you enough for being on. And before you go, though, I would like you to give you an opportunity to share what you got going on and where people can find you.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, when I'm not watching horror movies and endorsing really cool hats, you can you can find me writing or recording or playing live music. So I mean, I've got my hand in several bands here in Austin, Texas, and I do solo stuff as well. I released a song called "Dead by Dawn" last Halloween. The song that I wrote back in 1987 after seeing
And
Evil
I've
Dead
got the
2. Yeah,
CD. I've got the
that's it.
CD. Physical media,
Yes.
baby. Physical media.
Physical media. I'm still making that happen. So yeah. And I wrote and then I finally recorded this song, 30 years later almost. And
Hmm.
I released it on Halloween. I did it for me and I did it for any Evil Dead fans, especially Evil Dead 2. The song will really, really speak to you if you're an Evil Dead 2 fan, and it's got a very Sabbathy, Dio era Sabbathy feel to it. There's screaming going on during the guitar solo, and I even tipped my hat to Slayer at the beginning of the song when I the words are being read from the Book of the Dead, and the whole "join us" thing is happening. But if you play, I don't think I've told anybody this, but if you play Slayer's Hell Awaits album backwards from the beginning, you can hear it say, "Join us, join us, join us." So I used a snippet of that at the beginning of the song, and it's streaming everywhere. So wherever you stream your music, you can stream
Yeah.
Keith Cantrell's Garageorama Dead by Dawn. And
Yeah.
a good friend of mine, Blaine Tate, who does Blaine Storm videos here in Austin, he heard the song and said, "Brother, you got to let me do a video." Yeah, or
Nice.
maybe I called him and said, "Brother, you got to do a video for me." I can't remember exactly how that happened, but he did it, and he did it in a matter. And it's AI, but whatever. It's super fun, and the visual that he saw through my song is it's just perfect. So you can watch the video for Dead by Dawn on YouTube. And so that's just like my solo thing. But I'm in two original bands, Rock Holiday is one, and we're very uh, kind of a throwback '80s style band, but we're writing our own stuff, very Dokken, Queensryche, um, Motley Crue type of feel to what we're writing, but it's a really if you like '80s type of metal, we're bringing it back, man. And there's two albums that you can stream anywhere you get your music. One's called Locked and Loaded. 10 great songs on there. And then we've got an EP out called Destiny Calling. There's a song on Destiny Calling called You Are the Enemy. And there's a killer video for that was done here in Austin by Penny Rock Productions. And so you can stream that on YouTube. And another original band that I'm in is called Texas Microphone Massacre. I jumped into this band about 2.5 years ago now. They've got, I don't know, 14 albums out, but I'm on the one they did last year. It's called Dim, and there's a song on Dim called Prime Mover that really rocks, man. So look up Prime Mover on Texas Microphone Massacre if
Yeah.
you're taking notes right now. And we're in the studio currently recording a new album. So we're really excited about it. It's going to be the coolest thing this band's ever done, in my opinion. And I think that it's not just because I'm on bass, but it's because it's a really cool album, man. It's coming along quite well. I've been in a band called Love Guns for almost 10 years now, and that's a classic hard rock cover band just for fun. And my biggest baby is something I started 2 years ago. Is a band called Cold Heart Cash, and we are a tribute to the music of Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
I'm not an impersonator. I don't dress like him. I don't look like him. But I found out at an open mic one night that I could sing. I could sing some good Johnny Cash songs. So we've got a full album that's streaming everywhere you get your music, called "For the Love of Cash" by Cold Heart Cash. With 33 songs on that album, and
Wow.
we're on the verge of releasing 22 more songs. In fact, it's already been published. I'm waiting
Wow.
for it to drop any time now on Apple and Spotify, anywhere. So pretty soon, before the end of the year, you'll have 55 Johnny Cash cover songs that we do
That's
available
amazing.
to download. And so yeah, so that's what I'm doing with my music. And
Yeah.
I'm a retired chef, so I do cooking classes out of my home. And I do have a Facebook page called the Quarantine Home Chef.
Okay.
Now, it's called the Quarantine Home Chef because I came up with it during
2020.
COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, people would send recipes if people weren't leaving their house and they were
Yeah.
looking in their cupboards going, well, what can I do with this? So we started this Facebook page and they would literally send me pictures of their cupboards. And I go, well, you've got this, that, and the other thing, and you make a casserole out of that or
Yeah.
whatever. But within like 2 months, we had 4,000 followers all over the world. So I'm looking for a new name for it now because we're not quarantined anymore. So
Right.
I'll take suggestions. So join the Quarantine Home Chef and tell me what you think we should call it now.
Yeah.
And then finally, I do custom acrylic paintings as well. So I've got a Facebook page called Cantrell Canvas, and you can see some of the custom paintings I do. I like to paint celebrities. I'm really good at uh, places, locations. Some people like to do celebrities or whatever it is you want me to paint.
Yeah.
So I do commissions that way. But yeah, I like to stay busy, man.
Dude, that's a lot. I thought I had a lot going on, but you got way more than me. But that's exciting, and we'll have all of those links and everything in the show notes, in the description of the video on YouTube, and in the podcast notes. So, Keith, again, this has been such a fun time. To have a new friend that loves horror movies is so great. And
Likewise, bro.
yeah, so we'll have you back eventually. I'm sure we'll find another subject we can bring you in on. But this has been fun. So thanks so much, bud.
Thanks, Sprang. Take care, y'all.
Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to jump over to our website, moviesthatmakeyoupodcast.com, to see all of our links. Follow us on Instagram so you never miss an episode, a live stream, or an interview. And until next time, keep watching movies.